right, so I want to appreciate you guys for coming out and hanging out. I'm going to be going over some of the things that I talk about in the recent book that I just released with Hal Leonard. It's called Lead Guitar Licks, The Basics and Beyond. And basically the concept of this book is to teach yourself how to improvise. When I was first asked about doing a book for Hal Leonard, I was trying to figure out exactly what I was going to do. Do I want to make it about a specific type of musical genre? Do I want to make it, 20 licks of this or that? And I realized that the thing that maybe I thought that I had to offer was that I was self-taught in my room, and I wanted to kind of talk about how people learn now with the internet and this just overwhelming amount of information that we have. So what I started out with was the realization that I essentially learned from these Hal Leonard books, from guitar magazines, and kind of right at the beginning of what YouTube was. And it really is overwhelming. Like, you have all of these different pieces of music, but not necessarily any application for it. So the whole goal was to be able to take something that you learn a tidbit of, whether it's from a guitar magazine or even something that you transcribed yourself, and actually be able to make music out of it, find application, and find your own voice on the instrument. So the concept of the book was to take a small amount of music and be able to create variations on it. This is something that I used to do. I would learn a 1-bar phrase or 4-bar phrase from one of my favorite guitar players, and I would find basically my own call and response to myself with this stuff. So if it's a 1-bar phrase, let's say it's something simple, that's not even a 1-bar phrase, but just a small phrase like that, and being able to respond to yourself in a way. So a variation on that would be. So there's one variation. So you're starting to slowly move away from the thing that you learned that was once somebody else's, and create it into something that's now yours. So you can keep going from there. So you have, okay, and then you have, then you can keep going. So this development of this phrase becomes your own over time, and that's kind of the goal of this book. I know that a lot of people, they end up learning things verbatim a lot of times, which is a necessity. But to end the pursuit there is a loss for yourself. So the whole goal here is to just learn to develop these things, and what I talk about in the book is a lot of different ways to vary these things, whether or not it's changing strings, changing what part of the neck you're playing it on. Are you using slides? Are you using vibrato? All of these things that seem so subtle, the further they are away from the thing that you originally learned, the more you develop your own style. And the goal of this is to eventually have improvisation be something that is second nature. You watch your favorite guitar players, and it's basically like, this seems so easy. And it's because everything that they're doing is subconscious at that point. They're not thinking anymore, it's all happening. So the development of this, it's not some process that's going to take 5 minutes. This isn't one of those books where it's like, play for 5 hours and you're better than Jimmy Page. That's not a thing. That doesn't exist in the world. There's no shortcut to it. So the whole goal of this book is to be with you to become your own guitar teacher. Because everybody's capable of it, but sometimes you just need some sort of push in the right direction, or even something that can kind of veer you towards, being the player that you want to be. So that's kind of the intention of this book, and I go through multiple different styles and genres. I made sure it wasn't based around blues music, or rock music, or Latin music, or any of these things. These concepts apply to all music. So that's kind of the goal of the book, is to teach yourself to be your own teacher. And it's obvious that you're going to have to check in with other people. You're going to have to ask people that know more than you, and that's how everything works. But I think if you read through these concepts, it becomes more clear to you. And I hope the book does that. I've talked. Yes, there is. So there's a video portion where I basically go through every one of the licks, every one of the variations, and I play it slow, I play it fast, and we kind of talk about the concepts behind this. What exactly did I do to create these changes in phrase, whether or not there were the things I talked about, changes in position of the neck, changes in vibrato or bends or slides. There's so many possibilities to change something that already exists that it's a great place to start rather than pretending that we can just pull something out that's never been played before or thought of in the existence of humanity. So it's nice to start somewhere, and learning something else verbatim, whether or not it's an entire solo or one bar, is a great place to start. So we talk about all the intricacies of this, and we talk about stuff that's really basic and pentatonic, all the way up to more modal stuff, and you know, we don't really go into super jazz land, but we dabble into the chromaticism effect and like how to break out of these boxes that so often guitar players get stuck in. You know, a lot of guitar players just end up basing a lot of their playing on positions, and we try to go through some of these things in the book and talk about how we can break those. Thank you guys for coming out, I appreciate it, and once again, the book is called Lead Guitar Licks, The Basics and Beyond, and I want to thank Hal Leonard for having me out here and just being awesome through this entire process. So thank you, Hal Leonard, you guys have been awesome, and thank you to all my friends that showed up. I appreciate you guys. All right.